Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from SimpleProgrammer.com. You can tell by my shirt today that I'm going to be doing a fitness video. Actually, maybe the shirt doesn't really indicate that, since I'll probably record another video after this that'll be wearing the shirt, which won't be about fitness or diet. But I got this question on one of the videos I did. I did this video. This was the Are You High video, and I got a comment on there. And the comment is, "Hey John, could you make a video on sticking to a diet? I'm hitting the gym 3 times a week and surfing 3 times a week as well, but the diet part is a bit difficult to me, especially cutting on sweets." So I've probably talked about this a little bit before. If you want to see all my fitness and diet related videos, you can check out the playlist here if you're interested. But I wanted to address this a little bit more and talk about how you can stick to this part, and a little bit about why this part is so important. So I'll give you sort of some sobering news to just make the impact so you can understand how important diet is. Because I feel like if you're spending your time working out 3 times a week or 6 times a week, doing a lot of workouts, and you're not hitting the diet component, you're wasting a lot of your time, especially if you're doing cardio. Like unless, aside from building cardiovascular endurance, there's some benefits, other benefits of cardio. But if you're doing all of this and trying to lose weight, which is what most people are trying to do, and you don't have your diet on point, it's really going to be frustrating. It's going to be a waste of time. So if you know about my routine, what I currently do, I fast until 5 o'clock every day. I've been doing that for almost 3 years now, and with a few breaks in between, but pretty much on point for about the last 3 years. So I do that, okay. And then as far as my workouts, as far as cardio, I'm running about 40 miles a week on average. So that's 2 hours. Basically 4 times a week. That's essentially what that comes out to, maybe a little bit less than that. And then I'm hitting the gym and lifting weights Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so 3 times a week for about 2 hours. So I'm doing quite a bit of volume of work. Okay, so doing a very, very high volume of work. I stand up all day. I never sit down. I basically have a standing desk. If you've seen my review on the autonomous smart desk that I'm using. So I'm around, right? I'm burning some extra calories doing that. And I would say, I would say this, okay? So with all of that, right, I can gain weight just in that one meal, right? If I eat junk, if I eat sweets, if I am really not very careful about the calories, not that I have to be super careful, obviously I have a little bit of leeway, but even with all of that working out, all of that running, all of that exercise and cardio, I can still gain weight, and I can gain it fast. I can gain it massively, right? So I can get fat, right? In fact, I have, right? I've been a little bit off as I was injured and was sick and whatnot, but I have definitely gone through periods. I've been tracking my weight, my body fat percentage for years now, and I can see spots where I've been working out really hard, running. In fact, the more that I run sometimes, and you'll find this, that a lot of people that train for marathons end up gaining weight because they get more hungry, and they also give themselves more license to cheat or to eat junk. So the reason why I'm saying that is not to brag, not to scare you, well, to scare you a little bit, but the reason why I'm saying that is because I want you to understand how important that diet is. And really, when I say diet, what I really mean is calorie deficit, the number of calories you eat. That's really the most important thing if you're trying to lose weight. So if you're doing all of this effort on the workout side and your diet is off, you're going to be wasting that effort. That's a total waste of effort. It's a lot more effort, a lot more work to go and run 40 miles a week than it is to cut your calories slightly, to eat less, right? On one hand, you're running out in the sun for 2 hours. On the other hand, you're just not doing something. You're just not eating that brownie or that Reese's cup or whatever it is, right? You're just not doing something, or that burger, depending on what your cravings, what your taste buds are like. Okay, so with that said, here's what I would say about tips for sticking to diet. So first of all, just understand that. If you understand how critical the diet part is and that you're basically sabotaging yourself, right? When you're eating crap or you're eating too many calories, you're sabotaging all of that work that you did. You're basically undoing it. That can help you just from the get-go. So when you go and you sit down and you want to pig out, you think about, hey, I did all this running, I did all this cardio, I did all this surfing, or whatever it is, in order to burn extra calories to lose weight, and now I'm basically nullifying that by what I'm about to do. So that can help. That's the first piece of that I would say. Now the second thing I would say about, and we're going to talk, I mean, there's a difference between a diet and a lifestyle change. So a diet is really a temporary thing that you're going to do. If you really want to get healthy, you really want to get in shape, you've got to figure out a sustainable lifestyle change, a way of eating, a system, and a way of exercising, and a way to live your life that you can maintain over the long haul. Otherwise, you're going to yo-yo up and down. But there are selective periods of time where you do want to, quote, diet, or you have actual goals in mind of weight loss or whatever it is. You're prepping to, like me, cutting down to a low body fat percentage, or you're prepping for a contest or something like that. In that case, a diet is really what you want. It's more appropriate. It's not a long-term thing. So you got to really think about, first of all, when you're talking about what you're doing, how long-term is this? Is this a lifestyle change? Is this a temporary diet with a specific goal, with a specific duration, right? Because I think that's really critical, because that's going to influence what you do, how strict you are, and what kind of things that you actually do eat. With that said, if you are trying to actually stick to a diet, you need to have a duration of how long that diet is going to be, what the goal is, and then you need to have very strict rules about it. And what I would recommend, if you're having trouble with sweets especially, is that you have specific rules that you are trying to follow, that not you're trying to follow, that you are absolutely following. So plan your meals out, know what you're supposed to be eating. If you're going to count your calories and macros, count that out and plan that out, right? It doesn't you can be sophisticated or not, right? Sometimes being too sophisticated and weighing out macros and all that and weighing everything that you eat makes it too hard for compliance, which is bad, right? You want to do something even on a diet level that you can stick with. If it's a long-term lifestyle, you absolutely have to stick with it, so you have to be really careful there. But a diet, you could probably add a little bit more rigor depending on what kind of person you are. But you need to plan out, what is the meals, what are you going to eat, or you have to know this ahead of time. I run a lot of my life by rules that I plan out ahead of time. It's just a good idea in general. I've talked about this a lot on this channel, of the idea of that judgment calls are really going to screw you up. If you have to make judgment calls, you're going to make bad judgment calls, especially you're feeling bad one day, right? What you want to do is, when you're in the right state of mind, when you're not emotional, when you're not hungry, that you plan out your goals, your life, the things that the way that you want to run your life and govern your life, and you make those rules at that time, and then you stick to them so that you don't have to make judgment calls later on. Because people don't go to the gym or they eat crap, not because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. It's because they have weakness, because they have to make a judgment call. They choose at that time, shall I wake up and go to the gym or not? If it's a rule, if they're just going to do it, then they do it, right? I always talk about the idea that when we're driving cars, okay, when there's a stoplight, and it's red, we stop. Right? We don't, I mean, some people do, but most of us don't drive through that. We don't make a decision and say, I wonder if I should stop at this stoplight. We stop because that's a rule that we respect, that we know what the consequences are, and we don't even question that. We don't even make the judgment call. But so many times in our diet, in our lives, when we're trying to accomplish things in our lives, we make it so conditional. We make it like, well, if I feel like it, or we make it that a judgment call. If we can make the decisions, the diet decisions, right, and a lot of other decisions in our lives, this doesn't just carry over to diet. It doesn't just pertain to diet. But if you can make rules that are like the stoplight in your life, you're not going to have to make those decisions, so you're not going to make the wrong decision, and you're going to need less willpower, right? I've done some videos on willpower, which you can check out here, but this is one of the keys to make your willpower stronger or appear stronger, is to not have to use it as much, and that requires rules. So I would say that definitely plan out the diet, plan out what you're going to eat. Don't eat anything that you didn't plan out to eat, right? If you want to plan out that you're going to eat chocolate cake tomorrow, that's fine. Plan it in advance today and plan it out and stick to what you've planned out. Now, I fall short on this plenty of times. This is one of my biggest weaknesses. I screw up all the time, and a lot of times in my fail journal, when I'm writing my failures, it's like, ate differently than I planned, or did not plan out what I was going to eat. And it still affects me as strong as I am discipline-wise and willpower-wise. If I do not plan out, if I do not have the rules, I will eventually fail. So this is really, really important, no matter how tough that you think you are. Now, one other thing I'll say with this is that a lot of people that are doing diets, what they try to do is they try to figure out ways that they can get good foods in or make it an enjoyable process. To me, this is stupid. This is looking for failure. Like when you're trying to cheat the system and you're trying to make it pleasant for you, right? Going on a diet, like being in a calorie deficit, is going to be an unpleasant experience. There's no way that you're going to stay in a calorie deficit and have it be a pleasant experience. Trust me, your body doesn't want to make it pleasant for you. It's just not going to happen. I've never lost weight. I've never been in a calorie deficit, losing weight, getting in shape, and it was a pleasant experience. So just get that out of your head, because the thing is, like, if you're not fully committed, if you're thinking, well, maybe I can make this super low-fat brownie thing and I can eat this, you're not fully committed to the purpose, and you're looking for ways out. And when you're looking for ways out, when your mind is looking for ways to let you off the hook, or ways that you can cheat, or ways that you can have your cake and eat it too, to put it in a very literal sense, it's going to find that stuff, and it's going to be searching for that stuff. So it's better to just say, look, you're in prison. You're not getting out. There's big fucking steel walls, bars, right? There's a guard tower, and you're just not getting out. Like, you're gonna serve your time, okay? And it's gonna suck, and you're gonna make the most of it, but you're not gonna go and try and like get these foods and make it a pleasant experience. It's just not going to be a pleasant experience. You just need to set that mindset. And I know that sounds a little bit pessimistic, and I know it doesn't sound like the most pleasant thing, but it's going to help you to face reality, right? If you're constantly trying to fight against it, if you're trying to make it something that it's not, and if your expectations, this is what it comes to, if your expectations are that you're still going to be able to eat some good food and it's going to be a pleasant experience, if they're there, and then the reality is here, you're going to have a problem. It's going to hurt more, right? The way that we have anger, the way that we have hurt, the way that we have pain psychologically is whenever we have expectations and the reality doesn't meet those expectations. So the solution in those cases is to lower our expectations. In life in general, if you want to be a happier person, if you want to be a more satisfied and fulfilled person, have very low expectations. Don't expect things from people. Don't expect how people are going to act or behave. Don't expect life to be great. Just have low expectations. It doesn't mean that you don't have goals. It doesn't mean that you don't have drive. It doesn't mean that you don't shoot for the best and hope for the best and live your life to the fullest. It just means that you're willing to take what reality is and accept it as it is. So in this particular case, to get back to the diet, have the expectations of what this is, especially if this is a short-term diet. It's going to be painful. It's going to be a difficult process. It's going to be hard preparing yourself for that. Now, I'll give you an example here just to hit home what I'm saying, and then I'm going to wrap this up because I think this is enough. I don't want to beat a dead horse. But here's the thing. Imagine if you're joining the military and you're going to boot camp, okay? And which you think would make you more successful in boot camp? If you went to boot camp and you came in and you said, man, oh, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be like a vacation. I'm gonna get to do some workouts and we're gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun meeting people and I'm gonna make some buddies and stuff like that. And it'll be chill, it'll be cool, okay? Or you came in with the idea that, okay, this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be hard. I'm ready. They're going to beat me up. They're going to, maybe physically, but at least emotionally, they're going to yell in my face. I'm going to have to do really hard work. I'm going to have to wake up early. I'm probably going to be sleep deprived. There's probably going to be some jerk that's going to sleep next to me and snore all night. Like this, I'm prepared for this, right? This is some pretty hefty shit that's going to happen. I'm going to have to really test my endurance and test my mettle. Okay, which one of those mindsets do you think is going to be better for actually succeeding in boot camp, right? If you think that this is going to be like a 4-star hotel and then you go to boot camp, your expectations are so damn high, right? And then the reality, it's going to be a world of hurt. It's going to hurt a lot more. But if your expectations are so low, if you think that it's really going to be hard and painful and it turns out to be not as bad as you imagined, oh, now it feels better, right? So that's the key thing. Like if you want to stick to the diet, if you want to not have these problems, one, plan it out, okay? No, and then two, know what the reality is. Have reasonable expectations that it is not going to be a pleasant experience, that it's not going to be fun. Now, for a lifestyle, just to say this real quick, for what you should do in the long term, that's a totally different thing. I'm not going to really cover that in this video, but I'm going to say that for that, it needs to be much more sustainable, right? For a short-term thing, you can do something that's unsustainable. You can say, I can go to prison and you can make this tough. But for something that's going to be a lifestyle, to keep the weight off, to keep fit, it's going to have to be, you're going to have to play with that a little bit. You won't be able to use that same kind of visualization. But for the short term, yes, absolutely. All right, I hope that helps you. I hope that answers your question. It's still going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge, but again, that's what I'm telling you, is to prepare yourself by knowing that it is. And the people that I see fail the most are the people that are trying to make it easier, that are trying to find ways to make something that's inherently tough easier. And again, I'm not saying to make things tougher on you, but I am saying that you have to realize that it is going to be tough. It's expected to be tough. You're going to be hungry. That's just how it is, and that's the facts of life. And when you try to cheat that, you're going to set yourself up for failure, because your mind, instead of focusing on the task, what it's going to be focusing on constantly is how you can get away from it, how you can get out of it, how you can take a shortcut, how you can create an excuse for yourself. And that's not healthy. You're going to be dwelling on cupcakes all day long if you have that mindset. All right. If that helps you, and I hope that it does, and you haven't subscribed already, I don't know what you're doing. Click that subscribe button below, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.